This is it.
Let me see.
No, don't touch it. It's dangerous. It opens doors.
What kind of doors?
Doors to the pleasures of heaven or hell. I didn't care which. I thought I'd gone to the limits. I hadn't. The Cenobites gave me an experience beyond the limits. Pain and pleasure. Indivisible.
Welcome back to Spooky Tuesday. No, hold on. I forgot. Hey, guys. Welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Cindy Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Death.
And this week, our last week of Pride, we are tackling. We are coming in hot. We are coming in heavy with the discourse of, does kink belong at Pride?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, we're weighing it.
Oh, fuck. I'm not prepared.
And
I
we're
say
doing
no. It should be wholesome for families. Just kidding.
JK.
Let's fight.
And we are using this glorious movie, Hellraiser, to kick off that discourse, because I think absolutely, because I want to bullwhip somebody in the middle of the street.
And you should
That's
be
the
allowed
best-
to.
Kink. I just called Pride kink and said, there you go. Done.
See?
Hit the gavel.
Wow,
Done.
it's official.
It's one and the
official.
same, actually.
Do you want to tell them what movie we're doing though, so I can turn my camera on
You
soon?
I already did.
Oh,
You
did
said
you?
it.
I just heard the intro.
Flowing, in a
I was,
flowing,
yeah, I guess I was in a
beautiful
state.
way.
I was preparing my intro, which because you were like, we're coming in hot. And what I was going to say is, some of us are coming in goopy.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Hi, I'm Uncle Frank. Come to Daddy.
That's
No.
disgusting. Why?
You like
You're really
it?
giving bald cap realness a lot lately, and I love
Thank
that.
you.
From
Should I
you.
shave my head?
No.
Yes. Think of
We
all
talked-
the possibilities. You could just wear wigs.
Perfect. I'll get a bunch of different pink ones, then I'll never have to re-pink my fucking hair ever again.
Wigs are itchy.
Wigs
Some
are
Totally,
itchy,
I
folks
like
but maybe
keep
not
in
if you have no
mind.
hair underneath. Have you thought about that?
Chelsea, I can't like look at you in the face.
It kind of hurts my eyes. I'll be so honest. I think the Vaseline got in there a little bit.
This is just a continuation of a joke that Chelsea made when we were gonna do Love Lies Bleeding, where she was like, I'm gonna cover myself in Vaseline and be goopy just
Well-
birthed Kristen Stewart / Lou. And she couldn't get that out of her mind, and so she made it come to fruition today.
I
It's a
didn't
clear
want to do
reference.
it then because then I'd have to get the Vaseline in my hair, but I'm bald today, so it's fine. I used the last of my cling seal saran wrap to make me bald, so I could go full goop all the way back.
We really went full freak this episode.
It's the
I mean,
finale.
it's
At
the
first I was like,
finale of
I'm not gonna
Pride.
dress up. I don't have time. I don't know what I would do. Monica and I were both like, should we be Julia? And then I was like, it's the finale. If there's ever a day to goop, it's today.
To
oh
goop
yeah.
or not to goop is always
To goop or
Chelsea's
not to goop.
question.
I ask myself every episode, goop or no goop?
Pretty classic, but Sydney's out here looking sexy as all hell as a Cenobite
giving-
inspired madame
Mhm.
dominatrix.
All I had to do was just go into my closet and pull out all of my
Perfect.
clothes from back
Well-
in my glory days of working in
Love
dungeons.
it. Love it.
I drove 6 hours today by myself, and so I had a lot of time with my mind. And I was like, what if
Monica
I
should never be left alone with her thoughts.
It's dangerous.
like-
It is dangerous.
what if I'm the nasty head guy, which I found out later is named the engineer, who could have
Engineer
anticipated
Slay.
the
Who could've
weird
known?
head scorpion guy is named the engineer. And so I just want to give a shout out to Adam, who did an Instacart order from CVS while I was still driving for pantyhose and foil. And today's episode is brought to you by pantyhose and foil
And
a novelty
gasoline.
and a novelty witch hat.
There we go.
And Vaseline.
Vaseline stick
Oh, and ace bandage.
and ace
Oh,
bandage.
yes.
And ace bandage, of course. We look really good. I can't look at Chelsea either.
I know, like,
What
I
do you
just
mean?
can't. Oh my God.
I want
This is
to
the best
cover
I've ever
up.
looked.
You look hot, but like in a way that I can't
In a way where
define.
you'd kill people to be able to fuck me one more time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, that was exactly you took the words out of my mouth. This
Yeah,
fucking
that's it.
movie, man. Oh my God. I saw this a couple of years ago, like just since the pandemic, nothing before that. And I didn't like totally fuck with it at the
Mhm.
time. I think I might have been a little too spiced when I watched it. And watching it again, I fucked with it a lot more, but I also want to give respect to past me for not fucking with it. Because
I think
there's
that's understandable and fair.
it's fair. It's fair. I wasn't ready for it. Now, after years of experience and more exposure to the kink community, I was ready. But
She wasn't ready for Kink at Pride, and now she is.
you know,
Monica's
I was
a kink
supportive of it
convert.
the whole time. I just wasn't a part of it. But now I'm here. I'm ready. I'm the engineer.
She's here. She's queer.
Amazing.
She's the engineer.
I'm
I
queer.
love
I'm
that.
the engineer. Wow. Oh wait. Also,
Ooh,
Look at her
ooh,
cool shirt.
yes.
She's got a cool Hellraiser shirt.
cool
show
shirt.
off-
It's
show off
got
the-
Pinhead on it, who I learned recently is not named Pinhead. I mean, I guess they named him that for the sequels, but the only thing I knew about this movie going in, never seen it before, had never read any sort of summary or anything. I only knew about Pinhead in way less of the movie than I thought. Turns out there's a whole other main character.
Yeah, no, totally. That's how I felt going into for the first time. I was like, this is going to be those guys that I see, those guys who look goth and cool.
I didn't even know there were guys. I thought there
those
was
cool
just
little guys.
guy.
I think I had an inkling that there was maybe one more guy, but I knew that there was the one guy. And I want to say right off the bat that not a guy. Pinhead
knew?
is written to be ambiguously gendered. Not
Genderqueer
point number
slay.
one towards queerness in
Queer.
this movie. Queer
I
right
will
off the bat.
say, I was thinking ahead to episode art, and I kept asking both of you, like, okay, like, in what way is this movie gay? Like, what's gay about this movie? And nobody could really say anything other than there's kink, and I was like, okay, but that's straight people do kink, so I wasn't sure where it was going, but I've done some research and I've watched the movie now, and I see the vision for myself for sure. And also,
100%. It's
Clive
more like
Barker,
the
writer director, is queer himself, so it is an inherently
Exactly.
queer film.
yeah, it's more
In
of
case
like
anybody else was
what
questioning, like I was.
it's what it like represented and the inspiration for it and the like subgenre that it comes from in general that like makes it an innately queer film. There's
Yeah.
some mad straighties in this movie. Oh my God. There's some
I do
straight
feel-
fuckery going on.
I do feel like we have a track record that we need to work on of considering what goes on behind the camera though too, of like, oh, it's a queer writer, oh, it's a queer director, like, okay, that's equally part of it being a queer movie as it is when two guys kiss on screen or whatever. Like, I think
Yeah, totally.
that's hard to keep in mind when so much of watching a movie is just like looking at the finished product.
Totally. And like, especially with queer films and with horror in general, so much of the resonating
Of what
vibes
resonates?
of what resonates. Sure.
So
One of that was
close.
right. Some of those things were what I was trying to say. Like
Those are words.
the whole thing is that it's folks who weren't being represented trying to find themselves in representation of like at least countercultural individuals on the screen, which at some point, sometimes it's a vampire, sometimes it's a werewolf, blah, 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 because they weren't getting gay people at all. So
Yeah.
you're finding
Sometimes-
things elsewhere.
It's an, S&M leather daddy with a giant bulge and needles coming out of his head.
And you're
Exactly.
like, oh, okay, I'm picking
I
up what you're
see
putting
myself
down.
in this.
Maybe the straights don't know, but I know.
Okay, but
Exactly.
if you, dearest gentle listener, sorry, I've been watching Bridgerton.
Oh, I was like, that's Bridgerton. Lady Whistledown has under the. I think she'd love Hellraiser.
I think she
Yeah.
would absolutely love it too.
100%.
But if you haven't seen this movie, or maybe you like Monica, we're like, this isn't for me, but now I'm a kink convert. Hellraiser, IMDb has so many summaries for this, but I'm just gonna do
Oh,
the
gee.
shortest one,
Okay,
which
good.
says a woman discovers her newly resurrected, partially formed body of her brother-in-law slash lover. She starts killing for him to revitalize his body and escape the demonic beings that are pursuing him after he escaped their underworld.
Okay,
This is
spoiler
the
alert.
shortest one.
Yes.
I hate that. Come on.
I will say the one on Amazon was also pretty spoilery. It was like Kirsty moves into her new home where she has to fight off demons from the underworld after her late uncle, blah, blah, something. I don't know. It was like, once I'd seen the movie, I was like, that's a lot of information. But thankfully, I did not see that before I watched it the first time.
It's way too much information. I'm glad I never saw that too, because I love the like slow reveal of how fucked up everyone is in this movie, except for innocent King. What's his name?
Steve.
Larry?
Oh,
Was it-
Larry.
No, Larry.
I have my
Not
questions
in a
about
s-
Larry.
I agree. Actually, all the men in this are trash, so I
Steve
would like
is
to take that
okay.
out.
I'd like to give some credit to Steve.
Is Steve the boyfriend
Yeah.
Yeah.
of the young guy? He's
Thought
cute.
for sure his name was Scott for a while. I will say, okay, Steve, the mover guy, and Franker, Uncle Frank, they
Frank
that,
the
and
monster
me
is what
and
he's
Frank,
credited as.
Frank the monster. Yeah, when he's human, they all look a little too similar because I thought I knew the mover guy was separate from Frank because I was like, well, Frank's dead. But they look too similar. And then the mover guy and Steve at first I was like, is that the same guy? And because he was hitting on, I don't know, maybe this was me and my face blindness.
This is because
never happened
you
to me
are
before,
lesbian.
Oh, maybe.
This is your lesbianism coming out because Frank is so much hotter than the mover guy. It is ineffable. I can't put it into words.
But they look too
Yeah,
similar
Frank
is
is
all
so
I'm saying
sexy.
is I
They're
would
in
have cast people who look
completely
more different.
categories.
I didn't think Frank and the mover guy were the same, but I did confuse the mover guy and Steve. I really want to call him Scott. I don't know why.
You can call him
I can
whatever.
kind of see that. They had
He looks
different
like
hair.
a Scott. Oh,
And
I put Scott in my notes last night when I was watching as well. I put, is
I had
Scott
no
Kirsty's
idea.
fella the mover guy? If no, then him and Frank all look too much alike. That's in there.
I would have never retained his name ever. So I'm glad you at least got the S. That's pretty
I
good.
got somewhere.
That's
I got
so
something.
close.
That's pretty good. I want to just really quickly fix what I just said. Frank is a character in this. Frank the monster, I'm assuming, is the man that played the monster version of Frank. So
Yeah.
they don't just have him as Frank the monster in there. There's two separate Franks. 'cause
There's
a lot going on.
actually maybe 3 separate Franks. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know who the third Frank is necessarily. But I read some of IMDb trivia. Not all, because there was a lot. But some of IMDb trivia. And Clive Barker is British. And all of
Liverpool,
his
baby.
novellas, etc., take place in Britain. Like Candyman. And then they filmed this in England. But then they decided at some point in the process, maybe we need to make it more for an American audience. So like Frank, that actor who plays human Frank, he's British and he has a British accent, and he had a British accent when he was filming this movie. And then they dubbed another guy's voice over his when they decided to make it ambiguously American. So there's a third Frank somewhere in the mix, unless
What about
that was the guy who did Frank the Monster. I don't know. It didn't
what
say.
about Larry? Larry. So
There were
he's-
at least 3 people who were dubbed.
So
Sean
Larry
Chapman's
must have been-
entire dialogue was dubbed, though.
was Andrew Robinson's dubbed, because Larry and Frank are brothers, and you would assume that they would be of the same accent, maybe.
All I
don't know.
saw
Possibly,
on
who's to
IMDb
say?
trivia,
Possibly. That's not for
was-
sure.
yeah, well, presumably Kirsty wasn't I don't know. IMDb trivia just says why am I, the emphasis is fighting me. I'm gonna just read the whole thing. The film was originally set in England, hence the obvious London locations. They were not obvious to me, but the studio New World thought the film would be more marketable if it was set in America. So many of the English actors, including Sean Chapman, who plays Frank the Human, Oliver Parker, don't know who he plays, and others were dubbed by American actors.
Well, that's fucked up. Give me the British cut. I want the British cut. Give me the
Oliver
British
Parker plays Moving Man 2, so maybe the one that looks like Frank to me. He's not the lead Moving Man. Moving Man
I
2.
can't.
Doug Bradley, the actor who played Pinhead, was given the choice to either play the mover or like the lead cinephile. Cenobite.
They're probably cinephiles as
like
well.
Louis from Interview with the Vampires. He loves to go to the movies.
He loves the cinema.
He probably listens to this
Big
podcast.
film
I know.
And he was like, well, since I'm a new actor, I should probably play one where my face, you know, you can see my face and I'm not like covered in makeup. But then he was like, actually, this makeup is dope as hell and I want to do that.
Actually, Kink is sick as fuck and I'm really vibing with it.
This was literally like his first role ever. Like he did like play stuff, right, with Clive, and so that's how they knew each other. And he was like, oh, I just want to keep working with him, so I'll do this. But the like origin story of this whole story is really interesting because Clive Barker was like a very famous horror author at this point. You know, he had started out earlier in the 80s and had been slaying it literally all over town. But 2 of his books had been adapted into films and it went like fucking really bad. Like he said that
he
they
was
were
like,
terrible.
I hate this bitch.
Yeah, he was like, they fucking killed, they not killed it in the good way. They killed my dream. That's like what they did. So Clive was like, fuck this. I'm going to write this story that's intended for the screen. So that's what Hellraiser was originally intended for, was to be adapted into a film. And do you have the name of what the book was called? Oh, The Hellbound Heart. The Hellbound Heart. And so it was intentional about turning it into a film from the get. And he decided to direct it himself. He's like, I'm only mommy can do it right. Okay, I know
not
what
letting
I
anybody
want.
else get their dirty, filthy little kinky paws on this.
Exactly, and thank God, because holy shit, this is so fucked up. Clive's stuff is hard for me sometimes, because it is like a horror that is so visceral, but it also has so many things that I love. Like, it was so different from like Stephen King and other horror like killer guys of the 80s. Like he was like mixing sex in there, gooey lube cum all the time.
Yeah,
body
the special
horror.
effects thing on IMDb said they used a lot of condoms and lube. And I feel like Vaseline is in that family.
Oh yeah, it was like 99% that. Like that part in the first, like the transformation scene where Frank like comes back to life when it first goes under the ground.
Did they have
weird,
like a big bottle and they just like
pulsing.
squeezed it through a little hole in the wood?
Oh yeah, that's not the part I'm talking about, but yes, they also did
Oh.
that. When they go underground and there's that weird like pulsing organ that you see at first, that's a condom.
Pulsing organ.
Is that supposed to be his heart?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I read somewhere that Frank comes back and like the blood mixed in with his semen in the floor that was like there is like how he was able to come back.
I just assumed that it was like it's his brother's blood. They share blood, and so his brother's blood. But then after that, he can just use random guys, clearly. So maybe he just needs a blood sacrifice.
Honestly, I was like, I'm willing to believe whatever because this is already so insane.
The way the bones pop the fuck up, that's crazy, girl.
I want to go. Oh, sorry.
The practical effects in this movie is just
they're funny and wonderful.
They're so good.
They're so good. Pigeon pin in the genre of film this is because I want to talk about this, but talking about Frank, I was just reading like about how they brought that whole scene to life, his like reconstruction scene. I particularly like, I don't know if it's when he's being ripped apart or put back together, but his face is 3 pieces. And I think
Oh,
like
that's in the beginning
Pinhead,
after he's been ripped apart.
yeah, and they put his little face
They
pieces next to each
puzzle piece
other.
it back together.
I thought that was funny. I thought he was gonna like make a face or something, but it's okay that he didn't. That would have been hard to do. But apparently when they're originally doing this scene where he's reconstituted, they were like, okay, he's been dead for a long time. He's in a bunch of pieces. We saw all the pieces. They're dried out. So he's gonna be a nasty husk man that reconstitute, and he's gonna be dry, husky, blah blah. Kind of like what he does. He sucks the liquid out of people later on. So okay, whatever. They're doing it, and they're gonna use mostly like, I don't know if it's animatronic.
Dust and
Like they're gonna use
paper.
mostly like animatronic kind of things. That's not the right word. I can't think of it right now.
robot puppet.
They're gonna use robots primarily. They're like, this doesn't have a soul to it. It doesn't feel right. And they're like,
Yeah.
we need to make it wetter.
It needs to be goopier.
Yeah, nothing is grosser than something that's goopy. Look at Chelsea
Mm.
right now. Are you not disgusted?
I still can't look at
Get
Chelsea
closer to the
fully.
camera.
Oh God.
I know,
No.
still can't make eye
Do you think
contact
they're
with
gonna let
Chelsea.
this on YouTube?
They didn't like my Love Lies Bleeding one on TikTok with my fake weapons and my fake tobacco. They didn't like that.
Wow. Well,
Can you
can't
believe
fight China.
discriminatory?
That's
Sexist.
so funny.
I think they'll let this on. It's just lipstick. Everyone on this video is wearing lipstick, okay? I look totally normal.
Yeah, you just don't know how to put it on. It's just her first
I
time.
did my best.
It's her first time putting on lipstick, and she got it all
Look,
over.
look, it's messy.
Oopsies.
Oops.
But okay, sorry, unpinning that pin about the genre of horror.
Yeah, go back
this
to the
is
genre.
Bladder punk.
What did you just
Amazing.
say?
Splatter punk.
I thought you
Splatter
said
punk.
bladder.
I thought you
Not
also said bladder.
Splatter,
And
splatter.
I was like,
Peter
this play
Pan.
is in
Bladder.
for 2024.
If you called
so-
it bladder punk, I'd follow your lead. You know, I'm
There
not looking
wasn't
at what you're looking at.
nearly enough piss play in this for it to be bladder
There
punk.
was,
okay?
it just got cut out, probably. Just kidding.
Yeah, it
There was
absolutely
spanking
there.
that got cut out. They did have spanking at one point that they had to lose.
That's
Because it's like
crazy
this
that
whole
they
thing.
can have.
Frank is like so into BDSM, and then it's like all we see is him being a little domineering and a little rough, but we don't actually, other than when he gets fucking pulled apart.
We see pictures of him fucking in blue
That's true.
jeans. So he's really hardcore, actually.
Apparently, I didn't know this until I was researching this movie, but apparently wearing Levi jeans used to
Yes,
be like one way to
very-
flag your queer identity to fellow queers. So those Levi
Yes.
jeans, that was him saying, I'm a bisexual man.
He is a bisexual,
bisexual
man, and
king.
it shows.
Or maybe
Ugh.
pansexual. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to that discussion.
Who's to say? I do know it was Levi's and whatever color bandana
Yeah, the
they
hankies.
would
Oh,
they would stick
heard
in
of
their
that.
pocket, which would say like
Hanky
what
code.
you're into, what
What I'm
kind
looking
of
for.
you're looking for.
Your right pocket or your left pocket.
Did y'all
things
have y'all
used to
ever
be
seen?
so easy? Why don't we do that
the-
now?
I mean, we still could do that. Just
I
saying,
have
everybody
a
loves a good
hanky in my
Levi.
pocket that says I'm looking for love.
in all the wrong places.
I just have that shirt that says I'm bi, but I can't wear that all the time.
Why not?
I have an entire wardrobe that
fashionista.
says I'm a bisexual woman.
Just
so
get it
I-
tattooed across your face. I'm bisexual.
Inside
I have
your
a
lip thing.
septum
Fun.
piercing. I think it's
That's true.
really...
She does have a septum piercing.
Sometimes it's hard for me.
Monica has a shag
Sydney,
haircut.
Because I do have the shag. Actually, I'm doing
And when you go
fine.
full mullet, as we've
Yeah.
recently discussed,
Okay, the listeners want me to do it. There were at least
I want you to
like,
do it.
There are several. There was more than one person.
There were two people demanding mullet for Monica.
There might have been 3. I don't know. I
Oh.
didn't count. But I was like, oh, look at
Oh,
that.
oh.
You guys say so. What?
scissors
Stop.
just
You think it
slipped.
looks good? Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, okay, let's talk about Frank a little bit. A bisexual man, a kinship with him is formed now with me, now that I know that. I mean, I got that vibe from him already. He's
Do you
open.
like
He's an
my look
open
more
gentleman.
I still can't look at you.
That's biphobic.
We'll just have to accept that and move on. We'll unpack it in therapy.
Yeah.
This man, have you ever been so kinky that you go to like a mysterious man with a box? Like what? Wow. Like
What's
this
in
is
the
a level.
box?
What seriously? Like, oh my God. He's in like the black market of kink. He's on a whole nother level. And I appreciate that about him. And some of the parts of this movie that would be unbelievable are that you meet a man and it's your husband's brother and you fuck him immediately. Sorry, it's your fiance's brother. Let me be so clear that it was their wedding night or the night before their wedding.
The night
or
before the
something.
wedding.
Where
On
is
top of her wedding dress.
on top of her wedding dress?
That's
Here's the
so
thing.
bold, girl.
Unfortunately, a man cutting me out of my lingerie would do it for me.
Well, you would
Scary.
think this is crazy. She's gonna throw it all away in 1 second. Her years of her life with this man, blah 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 blah, and then you look at Frank, and
He is
And
kind
for
of
me,
sexy.
I'm like,
And it's like,
I
you
get
know,
it.
Frank is great in bed. So again, girly, I get it. I get it.
Apparently,
I would maybe do it.
when they were considering different titles for this movie, they weren't sure what to do because they wanted to do the Hellbound Heart originally, and then studios thought that sounded like a romance novel kind of thing, and
sounds
so
like
they're
the
like, let's do
Telltale
something
Heart,
different.
too.
It does. And so Clive Barker suggested Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave, which got rejected. But
Okay.
A little
allegedly,
too on the nose, Clive.
tell everybody what the fuck it is, I guess. Per IMDb trivia, a 60-year-old female crew member offered up what a woman will do for a good fuck. So,
A little on the nose
You
as
know?
well.
We've all been there, okay?
but
Wait.
you don't know what she'll do for a good fuck until you watch the movie. So actually, it's very tantalizing if you think about it.
It's incredibly tantalizing. Also, this phrase just popped into my head and I have no context for it, but
Uh-huh.
Clive really looked kink in the eye, just like how what's her name looked camp in the eye. That's
Well,
the vibes.
I can
I'm
get on
getting
board with
for
that.
this. Yeah.
That fuck.
Yeah, it's just I love the way that they tell you what's going on with our main character. What's her name? Monica, Julia. There we go. I love that like they move into this house and she's so horny just knowing that Frank was in that house one time. That she just has to go to the attic and hold herself.
And
Sure.
remember,
Hold herself and remember.
She found a beautiful photo of him and she tore the other woman in it out so she could remember it forever. And
Yeah, I mean,
girls
Girlie's
down
having
bad.
she's down. Thank you. That is like the definition of this film is down bad. This is the
If
down
you've ever
baddest
wondered what
bitch.
it means to be down bad, yeah, just watch
watch
Hellraiser.
it.
We gotta do an edit with the like I'm down bad crying,
I'm crying
in the
in the
gym
gym.
with just pictures of Julia.
Okay, but
'Cause
also funny. Let's combine these things. We also have Charlie XCX in her song, saying, "I'm so Julia."
Wow. This is who she's talking about.
And
it's not
that's what
Julia
those
Fox.
two
Maybe-
artists definitely want, a crossover for their music.
Hellraiser, meeting in the
Hellraiser.
middle.
I feel like Charlie would be into it, and I don't care what Taylor thinks. I think she's a secret horror fan. She should be. Why else would she be listening to our podcast all the time if she wasn't?
I know. I like hear from
Yeah.
her all the time that she's listening. So.
I know. So
Loves us.
I just keep adjusting the camera so it's more just my head, and I'm like scaring myself. Oh my god. okay, yeah, Julia, she's down bad. I love that, like, she's so hot too, and everyone fawns over her so much. Is it because she's British?
Well,
It's
unless
probably the mullet.
if they're in Britain, then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
probably.
I'm swayed by the American cut. Clive, I don't understand the context of the film anymore.
It's so confusing. It really is so confusing because I was like, where are they? I tried to Google it, not conclusive. There's that guy later who's like wearing a New York hat. So many people have American accents, but apparently that's because some of them were dubbed in. So like, I don't fucking know, girl.
stupid.
But
This movie was having an identity crisis.
it is. Well, because they move in at first, and before we even get any of Julia's longing for Frank or that reveal, it's like, things are not good between Julia and Larry because he's like, see, we're on your home turf now, so things will be better for us. Maybe we can be happy here, i.e., they were not happy back in Brooklyn. Maybe because she fucked his brother on their wedding night. Who knows? Or I guess
That's
the night
Not
before.
Larry.
It's not
That feels
related.
unrelated.
It's completely unrelated that she was in love with her fiance and then she fucked his brother and then she knew sex that she'd never know again potentially because she said, "I'll do anything," and he said, "One more time and then I'm gone forever."
How
Or whatever
can he
their
fuck
deal
that
was.
good? Like, how can he fuck that good that she's like,
He's a
I will
hedonist.
give. It's crazy.
I guess his name is Larry, so that is not helping him. But he's too normie vanilla, I guess.
It's hard also, like, to have your brother be that much hotter than you. I'm sorry, it had to be
Honestly,
said.
poor Larry.
Honestly,
Poor
okay, when I
Larry.
first saw them walk through the door, and this, as it turned out, was a helpful observation because it primed me for something later. But when they first walked through the door, I went, they both have blue eyes. That's really weird. So I don't know. He just
Do I not
wasn't
notice
doing
eye color?
soulful brown eyes. It creeped me out that they both had blue eyes. I was like, you got to mix it up. But
Too unsettling.
Frank has soulful brown eyes.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, I'm still reeling from this movie because this movie, like, it's not necessarily scary, but this is like the most
I did jump at one point,
uncomfortable
actually.
I've felt watching one of the movies we've covered for the pod in a while. Like, oh my God, it hits all of my icks. Like the lead up with the fucking nail and the mattress. And he's
The
gonna cut
nail
his
in the
hand.
hand. Yeah, that's the part I really can't watch on a rewatch.
Oh.
I watched it the first time, I think, because I
I was
didn't know
screeching.
for sure. I like couldn't understand what I was looking at between that scene and when they were cutting to Julia upstairs with her visions or whatever, her memories. And then on a rewatch, I was like, okay, I see why they're paralleling these two scenes and the blood and blah blah blah. But like, yeah,
Sex and blood,
There's
baby.
so much
sex and
blood.
blood, baby.
Which
So
also
much fucking
too,
blood.
Frank with his knife, also where it goes.
but also a little bit too, like in 1987, in the height of the AIDS crisis, sex and
Mhm.
blood, like
Sex and blood. I
Well,
saw a
that
lot of
was-
comparisons between the Cenobites and Dracula as well.
Oh yeah. Well, that was part of the big inspiration for this movie is that, like, you know, it's born out of the AIDS crisis. This movie came out in 87, you know, that's right at the height of it. And Clive Barker himself is a gay man, you know, living in Margaret Thatcher's Britain. And she was, in case you didn't know, just as bad or
Just
worse,
as worse as
than
Ronald
Reagan.
Reagan.
Yeah, so equally fucking terrible. It was a conservative renaissance there. And so he did this movie in part to show, like, they kind of like had related like queer sex and love to pain and death because of what had happened in the AIDS crisis, which was horrible. But in this movie, part of his, like, you know, thesis statement was that with pain there is pleasure, and with pleasure there is pain, and they're one and the same, and like reclaiming that.
And
Which
I
I
think
thought was
that
really
existed in
interesting.
like the queer kink leather scene already. But
Definitely.
yeah, when you're risking a potential death sentence for sexual gratification, that adds another element for sure.
But also, if anybody's been hit with a paddle by spikes, they know.
Scary.
I have not, but
I don't
yes,
want to.
I understand
With
it.
spikes.
Yeah.
I was like, I love though. Okay, I thought it was so funny. Like when he opens the box, what's it called? The box has a cool
The
name.
box. What's in the box?
Like it's
My
called like the
nose itches,
labyrinth
you guys.
compound or something. Compound. I'm gonna look it up later and I'll tell you at some other time. But when he
Yeah,
opens, like he first gets the Cenobites into the room, and they're not even starting out. They start out hardcore. They're like immediately hooks in the skin.
Immediately hooked.
Right?
Immediately meat hooks. And I'm like,
Ripping
okay,
apart.
I need
flesh.
Scary.
I need a
Scary.
little I need a little foreplay first before we do
I actually
right to meat hooks.
Actually, the
I
foreplay
had-
is solving a puzzle, Monica.
Oh, you're right. You gotta get
You all know what puzzles lead to, bitch. I
We
did
all
have
That's why
a
I love
phase.
puzzles.
Dark road of
Get
puzzle.
mentally
a-
stimulated.
I had a phase in high school where one of our friends who was goth and is queer and maybe knew more than me, introduced me to this like body modification website where you could
Oh.
see all these weird body mods people would do, and a lot of people do like suspensions with hooks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
so gross and scary and cool.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Ugh.
thought was happening at first, and then he got
It
torn
rips
to
so
fucking
easily.
pieces.
You're-
Yeah.
He needs to work on his skin elasticity or something, some sort of serum. Sydney, what serum should he have
I
been
don't know.
using?
He
Probably
stretched
some
pretty good
hyaluronic
before he
acid.
tore.
Maybe he was just a
Ugh.
little dehydrated. Need more
Yeah, you
water.
gotta stay hydrated. It's
He's
so
been
important.
losing all of his fluids, you know. He needs
Ew,
to
you
maintain
jerking
some of the
off.
fluid.
Yeah.
It's all on
Dude,
the floor now.
Another point back to how good at sex Frank must be. He literally looked like a gross little worm thing. Look at Chelsea right now. He looked worse than that. Love you so much. You look good.
Thank
I
you.
can't look Chelsea in the eye.
It's a compliment for my costume. So
She's literally like, I will kill to get you back to where you were before because it was that good. Like literally,
Yeah.
like she can look past it. And if that ain't love.
This bitch
But it
is
turns out-
stigmatized.
oh my god, the way he doesn't even get back to where he was, that is a whole other thing to discuss down the road. But
I
My
totally
God.
agree. I was like, this is the biggest tragedy of this film is that he never gets hot again. That
Right,
is
he
the
turns into
greatest
Larry.
strategy. He never, yeah, what the fuck? What that was the biggest disappointment of my life.
It was probably a big disappointment for Julia too.
Oh my
She's like,
god.
I did all of this
She
for you to come back as
loved
Larry.
a little bit. She didn't want
She loved it.
she
She
could
felt
not
bad.
bear it for him to be killed until she could bear it for him to be killed. But at first she couldn't bear it.
Yeah, and well, that was their only way out at that point. But I mean, okay, let's talk about Julia a little bit more and her
I'm
her-
everywhere. I'm so Julia.
Exactly.
oh.
she is everywhere. She's out there, not even having to do much to lure men back to her house. And I just really love her villain transformation. It's really beautiful. Metamorphosis, some would say.
Is it a
Because
metamorphosis when in one of her first scenes she stamped out a cigarette on the hardwood floors inside?
that was hellish. That was fucked up. Come
I was
on,
like,
that's-
this is a commentary on how trashed this place already is, I guess, but then it
That
was
was-
revealed the depths of her dirty deeds. So
she doesn't care, or she's just so rich that she can get a whole new hardwood floor. But that's ridiculous.
but they're
and
moving in on
wasteful.
Sunday.
I know. But I noticed something this is a beautiful cinematic tool used by Clive here. It's something that might have gone right over your heads if you're not really keen and a cinephile like we are. But did you
Yes.
notice how every time she killed, her hair got bigger and taller and more and
Whoa.
more slicked back like a spooky
The
mohawk?
sides I saw
80s
were
thing.
yeah.
And like she became way more glam.
She's sitting there with her red
It was
nails
a
like
glow up.
Yeah.
I thought about
like,
dressing up as that. I took a
maybe
screenshot last night
Killing
and
men
then
is great for my image.
maybe it's good for the skin.
Oh
Great
yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
hair. Good to know. Good to know. I
at
want my
first
hair more
she's so
shiny.
freaked
My hair's
out,
not
but
voluminous.
I know
You have no hair, Chelsea.
I know, I brought this hammer as a prop and I gotta start using it.
I think that she has a natural born skill though, because she's really good at hammering the shit out of that guy. I think that's another good like makeup moment too when the first man she kills when she smashes him and it zooms in on his face and his face is like tore up from the floor up. That was another gag moment for me. That was
Gag
good.
City. Also,
It was truly Gag City.
when there was like one scene where she like hammered him in the back of the head, and then Frank was trying to like kill, and he like stuck his fingers in the hammer hole, and
Disgusting.
I was a little bit like, that's gay.
I actually did see something. I saw an article that said that that was gay. Let me see if I can find it. If I search the word hole in my notes,
He's
will that
fingering a
bring
man's
it?
hole, so that's innately gay. It just happens to
You're
be not
making some good points.
it's not a naturally occurring hole, unfortunately. But he's working with what he got.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
like that
it
he
said
can just
penetrates
glue
a
into
hole
people.
in the back of his head with his finger. So
Everybody
that's the same as
loves
fingering.
to finger a back hole. Okay,
Penetrates. I
Jesus
bet he
fucking
does love
Christ.
to finger a back hole. That's what got Juliet. Larry doesn't do that. You think Larry does that
Larry's
shit?
not doing
No,
that.
Larry's not doing that at all. He doesn't.
Larry
He
wants
wouldn't
to
know
do
his
it
way around a
missionary
back hole.
style every time, and it takes him a really long time to process when you're saying, "Please don't stop, please, I can't bear it."
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like men not respecting women's boundaries in this, and Julia is a murderer, but she still deserves to be respected in the bedroom. Like that first guy who was like being like, "Oh, are you a
You're not
tease
gonna
now?"
change
Blah,
your
blah, blah,
mind,
blah.
are you?
I was like,
Yeah.
fucking
Ugh.
kill him right
Yeah,
now.
he
Castrate
deserves
him while
it.
you're at it. Yeah, he deserved it so hard. I just think it's inconsistent though. How much he can goo back to life.
Yeah, he goos a
Versus
lot
how
from a few
many
drops of blood in the beginning, and then he goos
and from
really
the second goo.
slowly.
The second guy does a lot too, and then after that, it's kind of just like stalling out. But he
And then
does
he
look hot
basically
as
just
just
needs
muscles.
skin. He basically is just skin by the time he takes Larry's skin, and then he's still so gooey around the edges.
That was so disgusting, but it was a great little
Yeah, it was
like
fun.
not uncanny valley, but it was just like something is wrong. I know what it is, but Kirsty
Well, and
doesn't.
also that's when I was like, his eyes are brown now, so
Oh,
that's why it was relevant that I noticed he had blue eyes in the beginning. I'm very
I
smart.
don't think
Kirsty missed it, and then at one point, Frank is like looking at his eye when he's in Larry's skin mode, and he's like, he does
I
some
don't see
gesture.
people's eye color. I guess totally went over
I
my
don't
head.
see men's faces. You don't see eye colors. What are the three beautiful idiots to do?
What are three beautiful idiots to do?
Sydney,
Okay.
do you notice physical features or
Do you see any of that?
No.
No, don't see it. Nothing.
Nope.
Okay, I have a quick question that
Yeah.
oh, someone who is in this movie, their name is gay. So that's
Incredible name.
Well,
gay.
there
Gay
you go.
Baines. Gay Baines.
Gay
Anyway.
Baines. I love
Gay
Gay
that.
Baines. They play Evelyn, who maybe is one
Who
of the
the
people
fuck?
at the dinner party. I'm
Oh,
assuming.
she is
That's-
listed right after Bill, who is at the dinner party, because he goes, Bill, you can't leave yet.
Love you, Gay Baines. Sorry, I got distracted. I saw the word gay and I was like, whoa, it's on the page.
Full focus.
It's written
Yeah.
on the page.
If anybody ever
Um,
questioned that this movie was queer before, well, guess what? Gay Baines is here.
Gay Baines is here.
Can we talk about Kirsty's little stalker for a second?
Her shocker.
Stalker. Why
Stalker.
can't anyone understand?
I don't
me
know,
today?
girl.
Her
Maybe
shocker?
I know when she got the fingers in
For
her
the
mouth. I was
back
like, is that
hole?
what
Her
you
shocker?
mean? Or...
There's a lot of mouth touching. When she puts,
Yeah.
sorry, really quickly back to Julia. When Julia puts the gooey finger in her mouth, I'm like,
She's
down
like,
bad.
"Ugh."
Down bad.
No,
Like
she's
that.
down bad crying
doesn't
at
even
the
have skin.
gym.
Putting
She would
an
be crying at the gym.
unskinned finger in her mouth. Like, okay.
I bet they did
Anyway.
blood play already.
Oh, Jesus
So
Christ.
fun.
They did a lot in
He
that one
brought
day.
that knife out.
Jesus fuck. The guy, that guy I know has blue eyes. The homeless man, the unhoused individual who is following Kirsty around. That is such a strange thing that I don't understand whatever happens with it, but he's just always there, always looking her. Remember when he eats bugs? That was
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know what the eating bugs bit was about, really, but my guess about his purpose in the movie and the universe that the movie is in is perhaps that he is some sort of keeper of the box.
That's the
And
vibe I was
he's
getting.
monitoring. I don't know why he's following Kirsty before Kirsty even comes in possession of the box. Maybe he just knows. Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
he knows
clearly
she's
he
near it.
knows.
Yeah.
She's coming from the house where the box is.
He's
So I
gotta
don't
bring back the box to the
bring
cellar
back the
in
box.
Morocco.
Can I just say, while we keep saying the word box, that the Cenobites also apparently are members of the Order of the Gash, and I just feel like there are
That's
a lot.
important.
And then the female Cenobite has the throat pussy, the thrussy.
Yes,
The thrusty is important.
Thrusty.
The thruthy.
Thrusty? My lisp is catching.
I know.
Bladder punk. What did you think I said? Shocker.
Bladder punk. Yeah. I
The
will say
bladder punk
definitely there is
shocker.
a little goop on my AirPods, so that could be not the
Ew.
ear part. I don't think I left my ears ungooped. So
What is the
But-
box in Hellraiser called?
what's it
Google
called? We can't
search.
keep
Starts
calling
with
it
an
the
F.
The
box.
lament configuration.
Whoa,
great name.
Configuration. Okay, we can't call it the box anymore.
I probably still will.
I'm so
The
calling it the box.
The box,
configuration.
Because I'm
the Order
never
of the
gonna remember that.
Gash.
The lament
Let's be so real.
configuration.
They
I'll just
worship pussy.
I'll whisper lament configuration every time you say the box.
Okay, maybe it'll catch.
Yeah, I mean, I would fall for this. I would fall for this. Not because I would seek it out like Frank, but I love a little puzzle. I really do. That
Who
sounds so
doesn't?
fun. But now I'm scared of those forever. Because
I know you could get hooked.
this is why I guess I don't do Rubik's cubes. They're too similar to the lament configuration.
It is
Like,
interesting.
yeah, actually, I'm too afraid of interdimensional sex beings coming to
You never
snatch me, so I can't touch
know.
that Rubik's Cube. And it's not that I just don't understand patterns.
Well, we've mentioned Dracula and Dracula references, and Clive Barker specifically wanted the lead Cenobite to have Dracula vibes, to be like articulate and in control and know what he's doing and how evil it is. And it's interesting that you call the box like a Rubik's Cube, because the Rubik's Cube was in Let the Right One In, which is a vampire project. So I'm
A
just over
reference
here
to the lament
solving puzzles,
configuration.
making connections.
Also, this movie would have been
Something might
great
happen.
for our, obsession month, quite frankly.
Oh, real.
Yeah.
Obsessed with
Or
Kink.
tragic romance.
Julia's
Yeah.
obsession with Frank.
Yes. I thought I was like Frank's obsession with Kink.
And
as well.
Frank's obsession with the carnal
He's
pleasures
obsessed.
of the flesh.
He thought
Yeah.
he pushed it as far as it could go. I really don't believe him exactly. But I believe that he thought he pushed it as far as it could go, I guess. And so
Yeah, I
he
mean-
sought out mysterious pleasure and pain box. And
I feel like he should have done a little bit more research. I don't know. I mean,
he
I
put
love-
down a lot of money though, so he knew it was desirable. He knew it would take you to the, what does he say, the depths of heaven or hell, which I would say to him, have you considered that both heaven and hell exist in the afterlife, aka you have to die first, girl? Did you think about that?
yeah,
Girl, did you think about that at all?
because I get like objectively the gash. Oh my god,
The
wrong
order
to
of the
say.
gash?
the order of the gash, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what they serve, and they're
Ah,
serving
yes.
for sure. They're serving
are
cunt
serving.
and their little outfits,
They're
and
they're
they
literally
literally
serving
serve
gash.
cunt at the order of the gash. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them a lot. I love them, actually, I would say, and I think that they're
Oh,
so beautiful.
that's
And
nice.
so I get that they're bad, but I like to
But
think
are
that
they?
they're good because they're just letting their freak flags fly.
They said you called us, first of all. We don't just come. You called us.
Exactly. I just wish that like when it came to like with Frank, like he thought he was big pimpin' and he wasn't big pimpin' enough for the gash, and that's on him. But like
Yeah.
Kirsty was just having fun with a little puzzle. You know what I mean? And then like I felt bad about that. Like I just wish that I want the gash to find the true freaks. You know what I mean? It just feels
Yeah.
bad that they're not like, finding someone to match their freak. I
She
guess
They need somebody to match
stumbled
their
on
freak.
it.
they need someone to match their freak. Exactly.
There's an
And
element of consent when you summon them, and there's not an element of consent when you don't know what the puzzle box does.
exactly. And also, like, what the fuck was that hospital? Like, was the hospital part of the Order of the Gash or something? Because that doctor was weird. They were weird the whole time. And they're playing that video of the flower. Volvic. Just saying.
There, look at this movie. Okay, Clive Barker, what are you out here doing, girl?
It's a gay man. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
There was something in the script that was about the female Cenobite. Oh, they called her Deep Throat on set, allegedly as like
She's
a
so
little
hot.
joke. But also it said something about how her Paul Kane, author of the Hellraiser films and their legacy, describes the female Cenobite's throat wound as representative of male fears of female sexuality. So I would argue that the vulvic imagery is very intentional
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
this movie, especially with that
100%.
pulsating
100%.
flower.
Well, a lot of gay
When
men
you give a
are
man your
scared of
flower
vaginas
or
too,
whatever.
Clive isn't afraid. He's looking that
Look,
pussy
girl,
right in the eye.
they're beautiful.
Just
As
like
a
he's
bisexual
looking
woman,
Kink
yeah, they
right in the
are.
eye.
But, you know,
Oh my god. Let's talk about all the Cenobites really quickly. First of all, the Hell Priest, aka Pinhead. I love that Doug Bradley, who plays him, Clive Barker just kept telling him, do less, literally all the time. He was like, do less, don't actually do anything. Doug was like, I feel like I'm doing nothing at all. And Clive was like, yes, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly it. Just be vacant. And it's so spooky. He's so good. And I really think that Lady Cenobite is so spooky too. And Chattering Cenobite, the Chatler, if you will, that's horrific. That's horrible. The teeth, seeing so much teeth is too much.
how much would you like some teeth with that?
That's so much teeth. That's like a lot of teeth. And I don't like that the other guy is called the Butterball Cenobite. We can come up with another one. But maybe he just loves the Butterball turkey company, and that's why. So that could be it too. But he's cool, and he's
Why
got
do
the
I
cool
think of
glasses.
a movie candy when you say Butterball? I guess maybe Butterfingers is what I'm thinking of. Is
Mm.
Butterball a subsect of Butterfingers?
I don't think so, but that's $1 million idea right there, Chelsea, as long as you can fight the copyright. Little turkey shaped candies, something to consider. As someone who looks a little bit like a turkey right now,
Oh my god,
I
Monica
support
is a
it.
butterball.
I'm a butterball. No,
You're
I'm
the
the
Butterball
engineer.
Cenobite.
We're going to talk about the engineer in a second. But I like
Yeah.
that
Whatever you say,
Butterball.
butterball.
Butterball Cenobite has that cunty glasses, and then he takes them off and he doesn't have any eyes. I like that.
They were all really cool designs. Unfortunately, their designs did lead to the rise of Pinhead as like the takeaway primary figure in this movie, apparently, because the dialogue was going to be split between them a lot more equally. But then the prosthetics for like the female Cenobite and I think the Butterball Cenobite, Mr. Turkey, were they couldn't speak with them on, so they
How could the
redistributed
Chatler
those
speak?
lines. Maybe he was the one who couldn't speak.
The Chatler could barely speak, but he
yeah.
could chat.
He could
Maybe they
chitty-chat.
gave lines to Mr. Turkey. But yeah, they had to take away lines from some and give them to others because some bitches out here really could not say shit. And that's kind of how Pinhead became like the central figure. I mean, he's called the lead Cenobite, so clearly he is like the main guy. But yeah, so that's how we got him as the forefront. And then
Damn.
in following movies, also they did recruit actors and actresses who like knew some mime so that they could be appropriately like conveying with their bodies, even though they were silent.
I want to see. I love mimes. Another mime through line back to Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the second one so bad because now that I saw this one again and I was able to accept it for what it was, and now I like it a lot. Now I'm ready for more. You know what I mean? And I need
Mhm.
more of those guys. I don't care about Frank, even though he's so sexy. And apparently he comes back. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care about him. Julia, I don't care about you either. I don't care about a single human person in this. I need.
Not even
The-
Kirsty, final girl Kirsty.
I don't care about her that much. I don't care about her that
I
much.
care
I'm
about
so
her at
sorry.
least a little bit.
I care about her a little bit, but
You
I
definitely
most-
had hair that was like that at some point, and I thought about that when I was watching.
I could have
It's
gone
like-
the easy route, and I could have been Kirsty, and it would have been really easy because my hair was very wavy today, and I have front bangs, and I have a little hat that's like that weird fucking ugly hat she wears. But I was like, no, I want to be the engineer.
No, I've been in the car for 6 hours. I have a vision.
I've had
ha-
thoughts, and I need to be the engineer.
I was like, Chelsea got to be the freaky one the last couple of times, and then she still out freaked me, but I tried.
Free.
I mean,
Like-
I'm not trying to get goopy here. I'm just
What do you mean? Why not?
because I don't want to ruin my shirt, as it seems you have.
Look, I thought I don't want to ruin any of my shirts, and then I looked at my closet. I think I bought this for work in like 2017. It still has the tag on it. I never took it off, so I was like, "Well,
She's like, this one?
it's
Fuck this
clearly not
Another
getting worn."
donation
So
to Spooky Tuesday.
one. Right.
I'll put this in my prop box. I'm starting a prop box.
Ooh, a prop box.
I just need more of them. So I want to see the sequel, and I need more of the engineer who is now coming into view.
Do you want to
I
tell us
really,
about him now? Should we hop
I
to him
don't-
now?
I honestly don't know like a lot about him because I didn't even know he was the engineer until I looked up
What's he engineering?
Hellraiser. I looked up Hellraiser Scorpion guy, and it said, "Oh,
Oh.
do you mean the engineer?"
The engineer. Obviously, he's an engineer. Didn't you see him?
Idiot! Don't you mean the
So much
engineer?
sense.
Yeah. So the engineer is a guy. I'm gonna have to look him up again. The engineer, right here. I have the Hellraiser wiki right here, so don't worry.
My God.
Unlike other engineers, there's multiple engineers.
Oh my god.
The engineer occasionally takes parts in the actions of a certain gash. These are words written on this page, and I don't know what any of them mean. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Hellraiser, y'all. This is the first Hellraiser. The Hellbound Heart? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Hellbound Heart.
Yeah.
There are 11 movies in this franchise. 11.
Oh,
11.
What
11.
the fuck?
11 movies in this
That's
franchise.
wild.
That's
That's
insane. I don't know if that
Arguably
includes
too many
I don't know if that includes the remake,
with
like
Jamie Clayton. Is right?
yeah,
That's
with
right.
Jamie Clayton, which I want to see so bad. I love her.
She's great in Sense8.
Yeah, she's incredible in Sense8, and I've heard good things about that one. And I feel like that was also really cool going back to the original text that Pinhead's supposed to be like a gender queer character, and they employed a trans actress to do that. So I feel like that plays homage to the original story, which I love. But there's also comic books, is what I was trying to get to. They made
Oh.
comics based off this too. So I saw some really cool drawings of the engineer. So I feel like this got like lored out. Like there's so much lore now
damn.
that it's gone so beyond the first one, because I was like, obviously there's a book and I haven't read the book.
But it's like a
but the-
novella too, which means it's short. You know what I mean? So like, how much lore could fit?
The movie gives you fucking nothing. We don't even know their names. We don't know anything. There's a fucking dragon skeleton.
They're
at the
demons
end.
or angels. Yeah, oh yeah, I
Who's
forgot
to
about the dragon.
say?
He
There's a
does.
fucking
Frank
dragon
has a
skeleton.
dragon tattoo on his back. Connection.
Whoa. Ooh.
I thought it was a Ben Affleck style phoenix at first,
Oh, God.
but
No,
That's
now
where
that you're
Ben
reminding
Affleck
me,
got the idea.
now that
It's
you're reminding me that
important.
he turns into a dragon at the end, I do think it's probably a dragon.
This is the history of the engineer, and then I'll get off the engineer shit, okay?
No,
The
stay on it.
engineer is thought to have once been human. Millions of
Whoa.
years ago, before the time of the Cenobites. Ancient. I'm old as shit. I'm old
Whoa.
as time, bitch. Thus making it possible that the engineer was one of the first to accidentally open Hell's Gates.
My goodness.
So it's a move. This is a mover and a shaker. That's why I chose to be the engineer. He has toyed with people's minds and hearts for as long as time has existed.
The
and he
original
created
bitch.
hell. He's the original bitch. And I just think the monster design of him is so disgusting. And I think that it's so preposterous and out of nowhere. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. And then there's the engineer. And you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck was that? It's like, it feels like she's
Well,
just going
because
down the
also-
hallway. And then this giant big face man with little arms. is
The
here.
point this happens in the movie, it's like, look, we saw that Frank got torn apart and we saw like a hand come in and repuzzle his face back together. And then we obviously see Frank the monster and Frank reconstituted from goop into bones and then muscle and then blood, but we don't see anything else until Kirsty finds him, is horrified, runs away. I love that she like throws the box through the window. I thought that was very smart of her. She's a good thinker.
Yeah.
But it's not until she's like in the hospital with the box. And she barely even touches it, by the way. But I liked that she got little pink sparklies instead of just the blue lightning. And she did end up getting the blue lightning. But it's not until she opens it that we see the engineer and then the Cenobites. So like the engineer is really the first thing that we're seeing of this other world where we're actually seeing anything other than like the hooks and the twisting columns and the chains. Like, this is our first creature.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I thought we saw the Cenobites for a second earlier, but did we not? Maybe not. I don't know.
I think we just see the hand. I could be lying.
I don't know, because I was looking down when I rewatched that part earlier because I was creating this fucking monstrosity. So no one knows.
No, I thought we saw Pinhead first. Like
I
right
thought
at
we saw
the-
Pinhead because I don't think
we
that.
remember, like we see after Frank gets ripped apart,
Uh-huh.
and then the room with all the like dangling meat stuff, and then Pinhead's like walking through it.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
like look of them.
But
We
you
gotta see
don't
our
get
boy.
you don't get into it. This is when it's like all is revealed. The engineer comes and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then she gets away from the engineer and she's like, thank God. But then all them bitches are in her
And
bedroom.
they're like, oh, there's so much
The hospital
more.
room.
Yeah. The one like bone I have to pick with this movie is this scene though, when like I feel like she extrapolated like so much from her interaction with Frank earlier, where she's like, you guys are the guys that turned Frank into a meat puddle. Don't you want him back? You must. I know this. I know this. And I'm just like, okay, like, did he tell her all of that? I don't think so. I feel like she kind of like got to
good
point D before a lot of the other earlier points. And so that was like, I felt like a failure of writing for her to go to that so
Yeah.
quickly. But
Like,
whatever.
it's
I
a,
still love
I
it.
totally see the connection of her going, the box was really important to Frank. He didn't want me to get my hands on it. I managed to escape with it. It has now summoned these people. They must have met Frank, and there must be some connection. But to jump to immediately, Frank is alive and he escaped you and you must want him dead
Exactly.
is a leap for sure.
Totally.
Other than
So
I
was
guess they're trying to kill her for opening the box, so maybe she's like, I don't know. It's not like she even knew that Frank was dead. You know what I mean? They all just knew that Frank had been out of contact.
yeah. So I feel like that was a little bit of a missed mark there, but you know, she did what she had to do to secure her safety for at least a moment longer. And oh my God, I do think that it was very like emotionally poignant though later on, because I do love her relationship with her dad, even though her dad's a wet blanket. I do think that
Yeah.
Kirsty and oh my God, I forgot his name.
Larry.
See? Larry. I was like, it can't be Larry. It's Larry.
It's Larry.
It's Larry. I feel like they have a very sweet dynamic. And I feel like Kirsty's also very sweet to Julia, even though she's the evil stepmother trope or whatever. I don't know. They're all trying so hard, and she's so scared, and she wants to save her dad, and she runs to go save him after she's just had this traumatic experience, and it's already fucking too late.
Yeah, she had that scary dream earlier on also where she was in the room with the feathers floating down, and then there was the feather pile or the blanket and the blood bleeding through it, and then she pulled it off and it was her dad underneath, and she called him to be like, "Are you okay?" And there was like a baby crying in that scene, and then I think there was a baby crying like down the hallway when she was first opened the box and was going down there. So like I see that there is like a mental link that she's making between this like weird prophetic dream. So I guess, you know, just by virtue of being in the house earlier, maybe she became connected to the box, and like that's part of why that guy was following her also.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Or
I don't
mean,
know.
if she can have prophetic dreams, maybe they know a little bit about what could be happening next. A little bit of prophecy there.
The blood connection again too. Like if Frank and Larry are related, and Larry and Kirsty are related, and Larry's blood is related to bringing. You know, kind
Why
of
does
again
the
making
freak
leaps.
box have to be a family affair? I do not like that the lament configuration is now a family affair.
It just wants to be part of a family, you know?
It's
about
I'm not
birth,
say.
And that's what they called it with the reconstitution scene also, didn't they? Because you were talking about that earlier, and then I saw it referenced in IMDb as well, where it's like the dusty birth, and then they changed it to a wet birth. So like again,
it's a birth
with the vaginal vulvic imagery and like the birth and like the family ties and the box and the gash, they're all
in conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have to say that though Frank is so hot, it's so clear that he's a sociopath and he doesn't care about Julia at all. And she is so shocked when he stabs her and sucks out all of her juices. But I'm just like, honey, he has been using you from the start. And it's so clear.
It's
that
so clear.
She's
But
so
he said, we belong to each other
shocked.
now. I won't leave you this time like I did last time. And she goes, really? Okay,
Yeah,
I'll do anything. I'll kill
you.
innocent men, or I'll kill men who don't deserve to be killed but are kind of scummy. Yeah, she's willing to do a lot, and it desensitizes her so much to violence that now she can't even watch wrestling without flinching.
Pretty crazy.
Well,
Pretty crazy stuff.
That line was so funny. That was so funny. I've seen worse.
All right, girl.
I meant to say this when I was talking about this tragedy of the daughter and the father. It is so sad when he's like, look, I killed Frank. Here's his nasty blood corpse, which like also like how would Larry do that? How would Larry take off all of his skin? I guess he already didn't have skin. So I guess that's fine. He did look very shrunken down. But she's like, "Oh my God, that's Frank's dead body." But it's
oh my God, that's Frank's dead body, and that's Frank's goop that you got all over you when you were killing him.
And that's Frank's eye color you absorbed into your face. She doesn't want to believe it. She doesn't want to believe it.
Until he says fucking come to daddy, and then she makes the connection. Frank was so gross with her. First of all, girl, I know you're a freak, but there has to be some limits. This is not Game of Thrones. This is not House of the Dragon. That is your niece.
Can we stop having incest twos weeks? We already had toe sucking twos weeks. I don't want incest twos weeks, but we've sort of have an
We're here. We're here, girl.
We're here.
We're there.
What can we say?
Well, I can happily report there's no incest there's no incest in next week's episode. Unless we make
incest
it about that.
3 weeks would be too far.
We gotta
much.
keep it to 2. We gotta
2 is
keep
the
our
maximum.
listeners mentally well, okay? We can't force that upon them. But okay, I love the gash. I love the order of the gash. I love the Cenobites, but they're greedy because I thought we had a little deal going. I
Yeah.
thought that if we gave them Frank, then my girl Kirsty, so sorry, could go free.
They're
I
hedonists.
never said that. I didn't put that on the record. We don't have a contract, so go fuck
They
yourself,
literally
Kirsty.
said maybe. He literally said maybe. I'm pretty sure, or something
But maybe
like
it's
almost
not
like
for
maybe.
sure.
He was like, that might work. Winky face.
Possibly.
There was a winky face, but Clive said do less. And so Doug reined it in and he unwinked. They took out the wink. Give
He
me
did
the
a
wink.
a
cut.
blink, and it was meaningful, and you knew that it was actually 2 winks, a double wink, but you had to be in the know to see it.
Totally. I feel like Steve is so pointless in this movie. I felt
No.
like I said the wrong name.
No, you
No,
said the
it's
right name.
Steve.
It's just that
I
I
know.
kept calling him Scott. He has that moment where he has the cigarette at dinner and then he puts it in his mouth, like Gene
Oh.
Kelly in that moment from The Pirate or The Pirates or
Oh,
whatever that
that's what
1948
that's
movie was
from.
called. Yeah, remember when everybody went crazy over that moment on Twitter a while back? Like that
I missed that.
people were talking about how sexy that was. And so I was like, is this meant to show that he's sexy? Which I guess I
Isn't
didn't
that
get
very
sexy
dis-
vibes from him, but again, it could be the lesbian nature of it all.
It's also like he's got that quintessential 80s style, which I did appreciate. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's got the fucking color block shirt. The
I
way
did like his
he
shirt
was
at the
wearing
end.
his jacket, like the way
Mhm.
even his jean jacket was styled, like buttoned up the bottom buttons and like open. And I don't know. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
incredible. The hair.
He's just too polite. That's his problem. Just like Julia, he's too polite. I don't really think that Julia is polite, but
Kind of rude,
Steve
but she's
and
just
Kirsty are just the innocents in
yeah,
this
they're not
movie.
even sleeping in the same bed. He's like in a
Right?
different bed when he checks on her after her nightmare. But the cigarette in the mouth, I for sure was like, that's referencing that very sexy move from that
Yeah.
movie.
okay. That's a cool reference. I like that. I thought it was funny, but I was like, you're gonna burn your tongue, and that makes me
I know.
a little
He's like, that
nervous.
seems tricky. I don't think
Also,
I would
why
want
is everyone
that.
smoking inside? But I guess it was the 80s. I was like, they're just
Yeah.
putting the cigarettes wherever they fucking want.
You
Yeah,
could smoke
I guess.
inside up until what? The 90s?
Not in my house.
I don't know, girl.
In my house, you could, because I used to sit in my dad's lap and we would watch South Park as he would chain smoke in the basement.
Oh my god, my dad would
Li-
smoke
in your lap,
cigars.
right next
Yeah.
to your face.
Yeah,
Okay,
like, hold on.
play parenting.
If Pickle was, if I'm Mark and
Uh-huh.
this is me and this cigarette and this was us chain smoking. Look at Pickle.
Pickle looks
watching
at
South
like
Park.
he loves it.
Poor Pickle. Poor baby Sydney. But your lungs are working great today, so congratulations.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I did like the house crumbling down, and I guess it was nice that Steve came and helped her or whatever, but kind of pointless. But good for him, and he's kind of cute. I just
The house
love.
is falling apart, and he ran in there. You know,
I know, he's
a ride or
selfless.
die for her.
He's a
like,
good
where's
guy.
my girl?
He's not a bad guy. I just, there's so much going on in this movie. The house is exploding. Blah 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 blah.
Oh, and
They
the
run
engineer
away.
comes back in that scene. Except I
Oh,
wrote in my
yeah.
notes, for such a big stinger guy, he's not really using his big stinger.
Well, I'll use it. Here.
Get him.
Ooh.
There
Do I
you
look
go.
just like him. That's what he does. He has the
Beautiful.
big
You got
teeth.
it, Monica. You crushed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't believe how much it looks like I'm just ahead.
It's great. Well, because your chair behind you is black also. So it's really contributing to the shapeless voidness of it all.
Yes.
Oh, that ruins it.
Yeah, girl,
Yeah,
hands down.
I was
Hands
gonna
down.
before I thought
Look
about
at
the
him
hands, I was
down.
gonna like just go like this
just
a
like
lot,
keep them up there.
but this is better.
No, it looks gorgeous.
But like I don't know why, like we've seen this whole movie now, right? We've seen Hellraiser. It's fucking bonkers, batshit nuts insane. and the visuals have been stunningly grotesque the whole time. But I was just shocked to my core when that man lit himself on fire and turned into a dragon. I just could,
I know.
I
A
could not have
bone
seen that
dragon.
coming. I could not have seen the bone dragon coming. I could never have done a bet on that. I mean, Jesus Christ. Inspired. They keep the surprises coming.
Yeah, yeah. And then it circles back to the beginning with the guy who's selling the box to a new unsuspecting victim looking for pleasure and pain.
It's crazy.
The cycle continues.
Set you right up for the
It's
sequel,
never
Hellraiser
over.
2. I can't wait to
There's
see
so
Hellraiser
much
2.
Yeah, there's so much interesting stuff in this movie though. Like it's so strange and weird and like I don't know, there's a lot of good details. Like I'm looking at my notes again to be like, what did we not touch on yet? But like the conversation where Frank is selling Julia on their coupling the second time around when he's Monster Frank and he's like, don't you want to be with me again? Even then, when he's like, we would belong to each other, he says it would be like love. It wouldn't be love, it would be like love.
Yeah. Because he's a
And
sociopath.
it's like,
and he
girl,
can't
listen
love.
to his words. And then I loved when the future dragon was following Kirsty to her job at the pet store and he had the bugs and she was like, give those back. Girl, give the bugs back? They're out
Like
of
the grass.
I don't know.
Back?
You want him to I guess she does want him to like wipe them off back into their little
She
cage.
could
I
have
don't
done
know.
that.
I was like
That felt fine to me. But when she was
No,
like,
it felt very
"Oh, they're
fine.
in your mouth."
yeah,
You're
a
like,
very
you
fine
can
reaction to
keep
go
those.
give those back because like I would be shocked to see that happening as well. Like a lot to take in there, but I just thought it was funny. All the rat stuff is so scary in this movie.
Lot of rats.
The
Wait,
rats getting
Rat Boy
torn
Summer,
the
just
fuck
saying.
open and
That's the craziest scene for me is when when Frank wants to kill Larry so bad and Larry and Julia are having their one almost fuck. And Frank is like, let me ruin this by slicing a rat in half. Like
the
oh my-
lengthways too.
Yeah.
Slicing it lengthways. That's the craziest fucking way to cut a rat in half I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like not decapitating it or anything, just like slicing it, just slicing off a little. You want a little piece of rat here? Ew!
Slicing
Oh
it
my
lengthways
God.
to go on a hot dog.
I was gagging there. That was a gag moment for me. I was gagging a lot. This is a gaggerific film. I mean,
Also, okay, this is a shot against Larry. When he's hearing Frank bonking around upstairs and he's like, what is that? Let me go check. And then they finally get up there after all of the back and forth and he's like, it's probably just a rat. He leaves the fucking door open. Like, girl, what do you mean there are rats in here and you're gonna leave the door open for them to get into the rest of the house? I
he's
know
a
it's not
filthy
rats,
motherfucker.
but I also know there are rats up there.
The plague could come back at any time, and you're leaving the door
walked
open.
in the house. Scene 1, he walks into the house, sees maggots in the kitchen, and is like, yeah, let's move in here on Sunday. Hello? Let's get a biohazard team in here first.
I couldn't agree more.
Larry is not a responsible homeowner or family man in many
No.
ways.
Yeah, he's not. None of the dudes in this are doing it for me unless they're Cenobites. You know what I mean?
He's
And I don't know
okay.
the genders of any of those Cenobites. And
They
I like that. That's how it should stay ambiguous.
I'm scared to get called a lesbian again for this, but is the doctor,
I'm ready.
was he giving Eddie Murphy to anybody else? You go back and look at the doctor, and you might see what I mean.
Why would that make you a lesbian? I just
For
he was
male
just
face
giving-
blindness, I don't know.
He was just giving. That's not a real doctor to me. I don't
He
know.
was
I was
giving
just like,
Eddie Murphy a little bit. If anybody
Something
wants to
is-
go back and check and
It's
see what I
very
mean.
strange. I trust you. Are we ready to move to our?
Segomundos.
Oh, she said it different that time, with a U kind of a sound. I liked it. Chelsea, how could this movie be gayer? I'm giving it to you so you
Coming
can
from
just feel
the
better.
lesbian.
Coming lesbian Chelsea. I'm so sorry.
I'm bisexual right now. Don't you see my costume?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't erase me. I will say one of my other notes, just before I move into that, one of my other notes and part of my inspiration was when he's in the bloody, gooey, gory white button down, I bet that's when bitches like him best. I bet there are monster fucker bitches out here who think he is sexiest not as a human man, but as a gooey, bloody guy with his white shirt all disgusting.
I did think he was hot throughout the process, but not as hot as he was
I think that's when
he
some
was a
bitches
man.
probably think he's the hottest.
I mean,
For
I
sure.
probably think about it, maybe.
I think like he's very commanding. He has a lot of stage presence.
Like,
he's,
I
like-
wouldn't immediately say no.
I would
but
consider it.
Yeah, it would be on the table for sure.
He's
Let's just
beautiful,
think.
but if I talked to him for 1 second, it would be over.
I'd be like, oh,
because,
his vibes are really whack.
Yeah, like he's got a terrible personality, and so it's not gonna work.
This is not my kind of. I guess I'm not
It's
into the
that
SM part
hair.
of BDSM so much anyway.
No, I could never get into the like people being mean to me thing. I'm like, if anything, I have a praise kink, so that's just not gonna work.
I
Go ahead, Sydney.
love
Take the floor.
I love being mean to people.
Well, that's not
Oh, well,
the same as
that's
someone being mean
different.
to you.
Yeah,
But I bet you like
sometimes-
that too, you little filthy slut.
Sometimes
Oh my god,
keep going.
what's
Kelsey.
happening?
Keep going. Let's be horny on me.
The engineer doesn't know what to do.
I thought I'd give it a shot.
That's like that time where I was like, "Don't
like
you want to
it.
give us a 5-star review or something?" And I scared all. Oh no, it was when I was sad, and I was like, "Don't you want to make me feel better?" And then everybody got freaked out. Sometimes you're a little horny on the podcast.
Sometimes you have to try things. I
Pride
was
is almost
in
over.
character.
Let us be horny on Maine, okay?
How could this
Oh,
movie be
surprise,
gayer?
We said in the beginning.
This
How could
podcast
we
could not
gayer?
be gayer.
We're gonna be gayer.
Okay, how
podcast
could
could
this
not be
episode be gayer? Look, I believe in my heart canonically that Frank is a bisexual man. I think that
He
is
yes.
evident in the queer subtext combined with the hetero seeming romances we see from him. I think you could have would have been difficult for the time 1987, but you could have slipped it into the pictures of his hookups that like some of them are with men. That's one way it could have been
Yes, I
gayer.
would've
That
loved
would have
that.
been an easy insert. Even if they were just like gender ambiguous or like you can't totally see what is happening in them and who his partners are. I mean, I guess there was that one, I think it was pretty clearly a woman, but with the sticker over their faces, like there could be something going on underneath that sticker that
They
we're not
could have made that
appreciating because we
over,
haven't. Yeah. But I think for sure that's one way it could be gayer.
100%. I feel like Julia maybe is just Frank sexual and then likes women other times because none of the
Mm.
other men she even seemed like she couldn't really even
She's not
believably
blinking
flirt.
at them.
Yeah. I mean, luckily she's so drop dead sexy that she doesn't even have to flirt with these men. They just fall all over her.
Mhm.
I
Okay,
also love the
I-
wide demographic of men that she attracted.
Yes,
It's
I
all over the
think
place.
Kirsty could have a crush on Julia, and her distaste for her was that she just didn't want to be in close proximity with her. Like she was like, "Oh, I
Oh.
can't stay with my dad because Julia's there," and she just had this like
Oh.
intense.
Julia gives her like weird,
sexual
confusing
desire
feelings that
for
she doesn't want to unpack, and she just is like repressing it all and going, "I
Right.
don't like Julia." That's clearly what this is. It's that I don't
That's
like
my
Julia.
dad's new wife.
I love that.
But like Julia, and then she's more maybe she's like not as horrified with Frank, but she's more horrified that her love Julia is helping Frank.
I also
Mm.
think Steve is giving me gay. And I think that he and
Yeah.
Kirsty are in one of those early relationships where you just don't know yet and you get along so well that you're like, this must be a romantic connection. And then down the road, they're going to realize they're just besties.
Or he
I
could
feel
just
that.
be giving bi wife energy for sure.
She's giving by wife energy.
No, Steve is giving bi wife energy. His little
Huh.
like 80s jacket, I can see it.
Okay,
I feel like
Okay.
he could also just be a bisexual man.
that's true.
I feel that for him. Was he wearing Levi's? I'll have to
If he
review
was
the
wearing
tapes.
Levi's, then
Levi's.
it's confirmed.
I'll have to review the tapes. Any other gay thoughts?
So many more gay thoughts.
Okay, Matthew Lillard. Where would he fit into this film? Oh, Maddie. He could have been in this. How old would he have been? No, would he have been a child? No, he was born in 1970.
He could have
Right?
been a really good Steve for sure. And I
Yeah,
think he
he
could have
would've been
brought some extra
perfect.
spice to Steve.
Yes.
Yeah. Make him a little less milquetoast. Still love you, Steve. But all you gave me was the
He's a
cigarette
little
thing.
bland. Yeah.
I would love to see him as Pinhead.
He could do it.
I'm listening.
Or
Yeah.
teeth, or the Chatler.
Oh,
Or the
yeah.
Ow.
Mhm.
I hurt my teeth. I can't do that. Ow. I hurt really bad.
I mean, I will say Frank from Monster Frank does do a tongue waggle at Kirsty at one point when he's doing all of his horrible daddy stuff to her. So the tongue waggle makes me think that a Maddie Lily of today could pull off a good Frank as well. But I'd like to see what he does with Pinhead. I'd like to see what he does when Clive Barker keeps telling him do less. So
And
Yeah.
they would be like, they said do less, but he didn't hear and amped it up.
Okay, all right, I might be biased, but Maddie Lily as the engineer. Just his head real big. Just like this. They wouldn't have
Just
to
like
do
that.
that big puppet thing. They just do the sort of
Yeah.
scientific thing that I did here. This is official SFX makeup work, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
Cost about $15. Cost of pantyhose these days.
Okay, so dumb bitch I think is going to be potentially contentious because like I think there are at least two really good candidates here because Frank did not know what he was getting into paying hella money for the puzzle box, and Julia also, that's dumb bitch right there. So like who's taking it, do we think, or are there any other nominations?
Can they be together
Dual
forever
dumb
in their
bitch.
dumb bitchhood? Because like they're both it for me. You know what I mean? Like
Julia's
so-
maybe slightly more dumb bitch after Frank the Monster reveal once he's reconstituted, you know what I mean? But also she's kind of dumb bitch when she's fucking him the night before she's supposed to marry his brother. Like, girl, I see the appeal, but let's think long term about the consequences of this choice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Frank is smart, maybe a little bit smarter just because he's really good at manipulation, which is a skill, unfortunately. But
She's
she
really
does
good
fall
with the
for it.
hammer. So did you even think about that?
She is really good with the hammer. She's the brawn and the brains, the sexy ingenue who lures in all those dummies. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's neck and neck for me because I hate Frank so much, but he is so sexy. And Julia, also incredibly sexy, but morally wrong.
I think I want to give it to Frank just because, girl, you really just went head first in checking out that puzzle box. And like I said, you said this is heaven or hell. And once again, I mention, girl, you have to die to go to either of those places.
Okay, that sealed it for me.
Right.
He was like, I didn't know I had to die. Okay, well,
You did know you had to die because your house was filled with all of this religious iconography, I assume from your mother, but I don't think your mother is the one putting the Christmas lights around the one in the beginning, which, by the way, beautiful, gorgeous, I loved.
Everybody loves a good Christmas light.
But
okay,
like
it's Frank.
there's Bible stuff all over that house. I know what you think about the concepts of the afterlife, even if you don't personally believe in them.
It's Frank. It's Frank. He got us into this mess. So
We wouldn't be here without Frank.
exactly, for better or for worse. Okay, that brings us to our knives out of fives. Chelsea, What do people think? What did people think? All of the above.
Well, the movie did really well. It had like $1 million budget and it made like $20 million. So that's a pretty good return on investment. But on IMDb, it has a 6.9 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, similarly, it has 70% fresh from critics and 73% fresh from audiences. And it also, at the 1988 Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films Awards, it was nominated for Best Horror Film, Best Music, and Best Makeup. So it was well received at its time for sure.
Hell yeah. Okay, so who
And
wants
it
to go?
spawned, like you said, 11 sequels, 10 sequels, 9
11
sequels, and a
films in
reboot.
franchise,
Right.
comic books.
So clearly it was beloved.
Beloved, for sure. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I love this movie. I kind of forgot, like I'd seen it a long time ago and I hadn't really seen it since. I want to see the sequels because apparently the second one is like a continuation of the first one, so they could
Okay.
have been like like they all could have been like one movie apparently. And apparently in the third one he gets funny.
Who
Pinhead
gets
is like
funny? Oh,
Pinhead gets like slapstick a little
that's
bit,
so
like he's
interesting
got
though.
quick funny little like
'Cause on
jabs. And
IMDb
then I think the
trivia,
fourth one they go to space. One of them
Shut
they go to
up.
Oh,
space.
so it's one of those. So it's
Yeah.
one of those
Shut up.
franchises.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's like
Oh, and
Leprechaun.
Well, that's-
hold on. Also, um, you know the horror masterpiece Freddy vs. Jason, right?
Yeah.
uh-huh.
At the end of that movie, they go to hell, and they were supposed to meet Pinhead in
Shut
hell.
up.
God damn it. The
Yeah,
crossover of a
alright.
lifetime.
I'm
But
upset
that
we
is-
didn't get that. But
It's interesting because in IMDb trivia, it said that the studios wanted Pinhead to either be completely silent, like Michael Myers, or to be cracking jokes like Freddy, because those were like very comparative 80s horror movies that they're
Let
like,
him be his own man.
I know, they were like, it needs to be
Or
really
person.
wisecracky or it needs to be silent solemn. And Clive Barker was like, no, he's a third thing. He's more like Count Dracula, as referenced a couple of times now. That's more his vibe. So the fact that they went into the schlockiness down the line, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I heard it falls off, but I still want to see at least the next one.
Clive
But
Barker said,
Sydney,
I'm no longer involved, maybe.
continue your review. I'm so sorry. We got excited about space and
I know
hell.
I had to jump in.
right, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 knives for the practical effects alone.
The practical effects are crazy,
They-
girl.
the it in this movie, it's very similar to like Pink Flamingos, right? Like it is visceral and gross, but it doesn't have
Totally-
the camp
totally
aspect, right?
different, but yeah.
it is. This movie is so great and everybody should watch it, and I absolutely understand why it is considered a classic and a cult classic, and Kink deserves to be at Pride.
Kink deserves
Pink
to be a
deserves to
Pride.
be a pride.
And I would say Pride has really embraced this movie because while you're saying the movie is not camp, camp is coming to the franchise over time. Because, like, Megan Thee Stallion, a couple of Halloweens ago, did Pinhead in an amazing way. And she did that because she was copying Gottmik. I don't know how to say that. I always read it as Got Milk, but now I'm realizing that's not right. So apologies. But that drag queen was on RuPaul's Drag Race on season and did a Pinhead look as well. And I'll link all of that in the notes. But the queer community really embraced this movie and Pinhead specifically and said, if it's not camp, we'll make it camp.
No, totally. This is such a queer movie. It really is. It's not like Pinhead kisses someone, I don't know, maybe in the fourth one. But like it's still got queer DNA for sure. I'll be quick with mine. I'm right there with you, Sydney. I'm also gonna give this a 4. I really enjoy it. Some of the best practical effects I've ever seen. Just absolutely disgusting. I haven't gagged that much in a long time. It was just like really a visceral reaction kind of film. I feel like you got to be in the right mood for it. I didn't think last night I would be because I battled with fucking iMovie for 4 hours and almost killed me. But honestly, this was a nice soothing balm to computer issues, shockingly enough. The first time I saw it, I wasn't ready for it. But now I'm ready and I had a really good time. Honestly, the story's kind of weird, but like what horror movie isn't a little bit weird? Um, I just feel like it just gives you a taste and you want more. And so I'm so excited that apparently Hellraiser 2 gives you the rest of it, or at least more of it. Because I feel like there's so much good, interesting world building that we don't hear the words for it. The gash, the labyrinth, or what is it? The lament configuration. Like we don't hear any of that stuff said out loud, the engineer. So I'm excited to hear it said out loud there. But yeah, I'm really glad this is a gay movie. Kink is in Pride. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting to watch. The practical effects are very good and gross. And I don't know, I didn't feel scared, but I did get startled by one of the, not jump scares exactly, but when Kirsty is hiding in that other room upstairs. And by the way, we see her hide in the room to the left, and we know the room to the right is where Frank's disgusting monster body is. What's up with the door in the middle? Where does that go? I don't think we ever saw. Just a question I was left with watching this
vacuum.
film. But yeah, the practical effects are amazing. They filmed in a real house, other than like some of the FX stuff they did in a set for, like, they made the attic in a set so that they could do some of the effects stuff in there. But other than that, they filmed in a real house, which like limited their ability to get like different angles and move the camera around. And I don't think you can even like tell that any of that was like limited watching the movie. It's like so just evocative and like compelling as it is. But I think it's really fun. Oh, something I wanted to bring up earlier that I forgot about, sort of for How Could It Be Gayer, just about Frank again. Girl was out here setting up those candles. You know what I mean? He did not have to do that. That was not part of the ceremony. He just wanted to set the ambiance for that
Important
room.
to set the mood.
Yeah. So I just think he loves the drama a little bit. And I love that for him. I did like Frank. I think he's terrible and a little bitch, but I did like him. And I really liked Kirsty, actually. I thought she was cute. I thought she was a good addition to the final girl collection. I don't know what to call them. And I think I have a water bottle with Final Girls on them, and I didn't know who she was before, and I do know who she is now. So,
And now you know.
nice to meet you, Kirsty. Love you, girl. But I think I'll follow your guys' lead. I feel good about a 4. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I didn't know what it was about, and I didn't know what I would think of it, but I'm glad to be here. Don't know if I'll watch the 9 sequels, but I think I'd like to check out the Jamie Clayton remake at least.
Definitely. Hell yeah. Well, next week we're switching gears. It's not Pride anymore.
And that's
I'm
actually so
sad.
dramatic. I love you doing that with the hand coming in front of your, like, that's giving drama.
Yeah, I wish I had my hold on.
Oh no.
Can I do it? Can
The
she
lowering
do it?
of the flag.
Women in STEM. Women in STEM. Oh, yes.
Wow,
Hold
we
on.
have to re-record this whole
I
episode
love
like
it.
this.
La 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 la. Pride lives.
It's perfect.
Pride
Kink and Pride. Kink and Pride.
Kink and Pride. This is so funny. Oh my god. Stop. Oh my god. Wow. Good job, Monica. I'm gonna ride this high all night. But anyway, we have to move on from Pride. Ugh, but it's in our hearts always. And don't worry, I'm pretty sure Long Beach Pride is in July. So there's still time to be gay and do crime or whatever you want to do. But we're switching gears next week. We actually have an exciting little thing. You know when we do little things and we have a little plan and it's like a theme and it's like a little fun thing? We're
Yeah,
doing
like
that
our
again.
incest Tuesday.
Shut, don't bring that up. Toe suck Tuesday. This is
We love
this is
it weeks.
this one you don't have to feel like
Icky about.
yeah, icky about it all, I would say. Remember just a couple of years ago, or I don't know when it was, when we did Final Destination Summer? Well,
Was
we're
that
bringing,
last year?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Could have been 2 years ago.
I think it was
Wow, it's
2
already
years
been
ago, which
two
is
Time
horrifying.
passes.
I know, time does pass. This is season 4 after all.
It
But
was
we
2
are
years ago.
it was 2 years
Wow.
ago. Yeah. We're bringing you a beautifully titled thing. Welcome to I Know What You Did Last Summer. Or what I prefer, which is I Know What You Did Last Summer. And you say it like really intense
Really
like that.
hit the summer.
You emphasis on the summer. We will be covering all 3 I Know You Did Last Summer movies this summer, the first Tuesday of the next 3 months, and it's gonna be fucking sexy. But who do we have coming on the pod with us next week? Sydney.
To help us kick off. I know what you did last summer. Like that. Does that work?
Yeah,
You
no, that's
slayed
exactly
it.
it. That's exactly it.
I was a guest on the Super Scary podcast with Josh, and now he has graciously agreed to come and be a guest on our podcast.
Yay! Gonna help us kick off. I know what you did last summer.
Summer.
In like a metal voice.
Yeah.
Oh, also Hellraiser inspired a bunch of metal bands to come into existence. Just
That
a little
tracks.
Hellraiser thing really quickly.
Slay.
Also, we have an exciting announcement next week, so be sure to tune in to hear all about that and have that Jennifer Love Hewitt realness. It's going to be so sexy. There's also Sarah Michelle Gellar, too.
And this is
Ryan
where Freddie
Felipe.
Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar met.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Love.
We
Love.
love.
Without
We
this
can
movie,
still
we
have
wouldn't have
love.
had Scooby Doo.
It's over, but love still wins.
Love still wins. This is my favorite thing. I'm going to do this all. I'm not going to take it off. I'm not going to take it off.
Monica, go
Also,
walk around
I'll
the
post this
street
on
doing
Instagram
that.
later. But remember, that's me and Clive Barker.
Oh my god, that's so cute, baby.
Look at your little
Oh
glasses.
my god, Clive is hot. Look at his
Clive is hot.
earrings.
Yeah,
Clive is
hot.
Oh my god.
Good for you, Clive.
Good for you, Clive. She should have known a hot gay man made this movie.
Exactly. I mean, of
Oh.
course it was. He was hanging at the BDSM
It's
bars.
in the
Of
leather
course
scene.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be hot.
Well, okay, it's the end of Pride, but it's the beginning of the time for you to give us a 5-star review. Why don't you go in there and you say, amazing costume work this month. Has anybody else noticed that? That they
so
really
Are you guys
stepped
slay.
it
playing
up?
extra hard this month?
Are you guys doing like something new and it's grotesque a lot of the time? Yes. The answer is yes. And you should compliment us on it and a 5-star review or a 5-star rating on Spotify.
I didn't do this all for nothing. Like, let's get a little commotion in the Apple Podcast 5-star review.
Come on. And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we are Spooky Tuesday Pod. And why not follow our YouTube? Did we not just talk about the visual gags? They're plentiful. We have video clips in there. We look hot or scary. There are many options.
Or
There's a
hot
pride flag
and
being waved.
scary.
You can also be like, damn, those bitches are chameleons. How do they do it? They look
Who
so
are
different
they?
every week. And we'll keep you guessing if you subscribe. And I have to say, at the end of the day, happy Pride. It never ends.
Pride never
Thank you.
ends when you're gay.
Pride
So
year
true.
round. Pride
Pride
year round.
round.
Pride year round.
Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
What's your pleasure, sir? Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at great18_, that's GR818_, and our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can find on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's Ryan, RYAN, Brom, BROMM, Art, ART. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.tumblr.com.